What up, YouTube? It's your boy Marv Over Matter back with another video. And today, man, I'm gonna react to a video I came across, basically talking about the dynamics in a relationship between the person who is the adorer and the person who is the adored, right? And essentially, he's gonna break it down, but essentially, he talks about how one person, the adorer, has to like the other person more than the adored. And there's certain benefits that come with being the adorer, and there's certain benefits that come with being the adored. So I'm gonna let him get into it a little bit, talk about it, and then break it down. I relate to this a lot because I typically am the adored in my relationships. But one of the things that happens because of that is, and he talks about it, you don't really get to have that feeling of like, I feel like I'm lucky to be with this person. They get that feeling. They get to have that feeling about you. But like I said, I'm gonna let him get into it, let him explain it. He does a really good job. So here we go.
Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is it's better for women to be adorers. So if you haven't done so already, I would highly encourage you to check out my series on the balance of attraction, because some of this talk won't fully make sense to you unless you have that additional context. In brief, it is not possible for two people to like each other exactly the same amount. Therefore, in any relationship, one person must always like the other person more, and one person must always like the other person less. The person who likes the other person more is the adorer, and the person who likes the other less is the adored. Now, these two roles are gender neutral. Both men and women can be adorers, and both men and women can be the adored. And both roles come with their pros and cons. It's not actually better.
I will say though that typically the way the dating culture works, especially now, is that the women are typically the adored. And that's kind of like that's the norm, right? That's what's pushed out in social media. You know what I mean? Guys are supposed to go after girls. We kind of have built this into our society, like movies, all that stuff kind of trains you to be, to think, okay, as a guy, I'm supposed to go after this girl because she's the prize, right? This is essentially that prize conversation. She's the prize, she's the adored, so you're supposed to go after her, and you're supposed to, try as hard as you can, and but we all know that there's certain things that come with that, right? You can be trying and doing all this stuff, and then she just like, I'm kind of not really into this. I'm kind of not really feeling this, right? And you don't even know if she's feeling you when you're putting that much pressure on. When you're putting that much pressure on, you don't know how she actually feels about you, right? And that works vice versa for the ladies too. Like if you just putting a bunch of pressure on a guy, you don't really know if he likes you, right? You don't know. He could just be, especially if you're leading with sex. That's the easiest way to just get a guy to be like, okay, yeah, I'll deal with you for now. But I don't really see down the line. And unfortunately, people can't just be honest about things. And they will just kind of lead you along, string you along. If it's a girl, they might take your free dinners, take your, whatever expenses you're paying on them. Right? They might even take your sex if you're good at sex, but they'd be like, but I don't really want you long term. Right? With guys, they might just take your sex and be like, this is cool, but there's no chance of you being my girl, right? And that's just what comes with being the adorer or being the pursuer. But like I said, typically in our culture now, the woman is the prize and the man is the one that pursues. It's the guys who understand, like, no, women will come after you. The guys who understand that are the guys who actually get to, be the adored, and they get to, enjoy women more, in my opinion. And honestly, I think the women who are the adorers enjoy it. They really enjoy it. They really are happy. Like when a woman's happy about being with the guy that she's with, it's a good feeling, right? And as guys, we just got to understand, like, okay, enjoy being with the woman that likes you a lot. Enjoy that. You may not feel like, I want to be with this woman so bad, but it's not really for you to feel like that. He's going to explain all this in the video. He does a really good job, but I got to put my 2 cents in. Like there's a maturity, I think, that comes with it as a man when you just understand, like, okay, I just got a girl that is down for me, and she's really happy to be with me, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to be satisfied with that. I got to be happy with that. right? Because that's really the prize of a relationship as a man, having a woman that's down for you, that's loyal to you. Because with women, they have so many options. Obviously, we all know this. So the guy that she really likes is the only one that's really safe. Any other guy, if you date her, you're not safe. She's just gonna be like, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. I'm gonna be entertaining this guy. I might leave you for this guy, right? That's that because of all those options. Now, obviously, a woman in reverse, if the guy has a lot of options, you're in the same boat, kind of. You're in the same boat, right? So it's tough on either side, but I do think that men generally are not going to have the same type of options. Even if they do have options, right? It's like a very few amount of men. Like most men, even if they have options, it's not like blatantly, glaringly in their face the options that they have, throwing themselves at them all the time. Those are like celebrities, you know what I mean, athletes, those type of people. Then you're screwed regardless. But the regular handsome guy or whatever guy who has options is not, it's not blatant in his face like the way it is for just any typical woman. So there's a little bit more like, okay, I have a girl that's really feeling me. This girl might like me. I'm not really sure all the way, right? This girl might like me. I'm not really sure all the way. But he's not going to have 10, every time he goes outside, 10 girls coming up to him being like, I want to be with you. I want to, blah, blah, blah. Like, can I take you out? Can I this? Can I that? So just because of that mindset, just because of his reality or his perception of his reality, in the adored position, he's going to appreciate it more. Whereas a woman, she's adored by you, cool, but shit, she'll be adored by all these guys. So it doesn't really, you adoring her doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really matter because she's, at least in her perception, because of how guys are going to approach her and how they're going to, lead with adoration. They're not, your adoration is not special, essentially. That's how I see it, but let's see what he has to say.
To be the adored and vice versa. However, in my opinion, it's generally better for women to be adorers, and I'm going to back up that statement in this episode. Now, it may sound strange, but most people, men and women, most people actually want to be adorers. Most people don't think they do, but they actually do. And this is because most people are looking for that feeling. They want to find their person, to feel excited about a relationship, to be in love, to feel lucky to be there. Most people want to feel these things in a relationship, but these emotions are not shared in the same degree between the two roles. These emotions are mostly felt by the adorer. Why? Because the adorer, and only the adorer, gets to be with the one they love. The adored, on the other hand, gets to be loved by the one they're with. It's not nearly as emotionally compelling of an experience.
That is a bar right there. That's a great way to put it. The adorer gets to be with the one they love, and the adored gets to be loved by the one they're with. Those are two very different experiences. Very different experiences. Like I said in the beginning of the video, like typically I'm the one, when I'm in a relationship, I'm the one who's adored, right? It starts off maybe, your honeymoon phase, you both adore, right? But then as that fades away, somebody rises to the adored, and when somebody, stays at that level of adoring, and that's how it goes, right? And typically for me, I'll find out something about a girl, or she'll do something that just kind of makes me like, you know what I mean? But she'll still, because I lead with who I am, I lead with exactly who I am. Every time I talk to a girl, I'm very transparent, I'm very whatever. She either doesn't want to be with me or she adores me still. You know what I mean? Because I'm consistent. But whereas them, they typically come in a certain way, and then I find out something that's like, it's not. It nicks them down a little bit. I have very high standards when it comes to, if I'm dating, I want a girl to be my wife, right? So if I'm dating her and I'm finding things out, I'm like, it kind of brings me back a little bit. Typically, right? That's me. It's probably not the best way to go about things, people are not perfect, but I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm human, whatever. But this is how I typically end up in the adored position, because I'll kind of like not like the person as much. I'll still be feeling them, like, you know what I'm saying? If it was something crazy, then I'll be like, nah, but there'll be little things that I'm like, this could lead to a problem down the line. Let me keep an eye on this. And so I pull back. But anyways, being in that position of being adored, it is not as good of a feeling as it is to adore, right? Like he said, the red pill's all about being tough and, I don't feel nothing or whatever, but we all know y'all niggas got here because y'all was feeling something. Y'all wanted to feel something, and it didn't end up the way you wanted it to. So then you started looking for answers, and that's how you got to this. That's how you got to the red pill. So obviously, instinctually, we all want that feeling, like he said, and not being and understanding that as the guy, it is better to be in the position of being loved by the one you're with for all the reasons that I explained earlier, because of her options, and he's going to explain another reason. I'll let him get to that. But understanding that is very important, because I don't know, I think that he said it's gender neutral, right? He said it's gender neutral to that anybody can be the adorer, anybody can be the adored. I truly believe that that's because we've been like programmed this way. I think that men kind of don't really need to feel that adoration, you know what I mean, for a woman, because think about the fact that we can just have sex with a woman because she just looks good, whereas the woman has to like think you look good, think you are competent, think you are this, think you, like, she has to think so many good things about you typically, you know what I'm saying, to really be into you like that, whereas a guy doesn't really need that to be sexually into a girl. It's like, okay, I could be with this girl, or I could be with this girl, or I could be with this girl, like, so it doesn't really, his adoration or his whatever, it doesn't really mean anything, whereas with hers it actually means something, typically speaking, right? We have a generation of girls who would just sleep with anybody or do whatever, but typically that's how it was. I think that this push for guys to be romantic, this push for guys to be a certain way with women, right? That's why it's on social media being pushed, like, guys, you need to be doing this, you need to be taking them out on dates, you need to raise the bar, you need to do all that has to be pushed, because I don't think it's typically what men want to do. If you've been in a relationship, you know how easy it is for your girl to just celebrate you. For your girl to, if you've been in the position where the girl actually likes you and you didn't force the relationship to happen, right? And you allowed it to happen. You know how easy it is for your girl to just want to celebrate you, take you out, do this, do that, do that. Whereas as a guy, it's like, it takes some thought. It takes some like, all right, oh yeah, I'm supposed to celebrate this. A lot of times, that's like the typical trope. It's like the guy is not romantic. He doesn't do these, because that's not how we operate. We don't do that even for our friends. We don't do that even for our families, whatever. They'll do that for everybody. They like that feeling of being celebrating somebody and adoring somebody. They'll do it for their sister. They'll do it for their mom. They'll do it for whoever. They just like doing that. That's their natural state, is to want to show adoration and adore somebody. Moms adore their children. That, like, it's just in everything they do, they want to adore. Females adore celebrities. Men are not like that. Men don't respond to female celebrities the same way that females respond to male celebrities, because we're not built to adore like that. But it's been pushed on us. It's been drilled in our heads that women are the prize, women are the prize, women are the prize. So then now we're like, okay, women are the prize. You start seeing how other men act towards women. You see it in movies, or maybe you see some dudes in real life, or whatever it is, and it's like they also lead with sex, because men don't typically like adore the women. They don't really act that way about the women. It's more about the sex. They're like so thirsty for the sex that they like adore the women. That's why a lot of women will lead with sex on like Instagram, or lead with sex and whatever, because they know that's really what's going to get the male attention. Very few women can just be sweet, innocent girls, right, and just show their face on Instagram and get adoration from men. That's not a lot of girls that can do that, because that's not typically how we operate. Beyonce Could be beautiful, whatever, whoever your celebrity person is that you think looks good, but you're not gonna be running around screaming, acting crazy for her, because that's not masculine. That's not how we operate, right? That's just not how it is. Females, on the other hand, that is naturally how they operate. And they don't have to be pushed to be like that. They don't have to be encouraged, shamed, or anything into wanting to show that adoration, because that's just how they are. So I think that although he's saying it's gender neutral, I do think that one gender tends to lean a certain way and one gender leans the other way.
So if you want the emotional dimension of love in a relationship, you're really looking to be the adorer. Trust me, men want that emotional experience almost as much as women do. But here's the thing. In my experience, it's more important for a woman to have an emotional experience in a relationship than it is for a man. That's kind of like why the woman is there. Perhaps you've heard it said that you can make a woman feel anything except bored. And there's some truth to that statement. A woman who hates you might not leave, but a woman who feels indifferently is probably looking for the door. So if it's more important for a woman to have...
That's a bar too. That's a bar too. That is truly a bar as well, because I've been in that situation as well where not hates me, but I haven't always, like, I'm not that romantic-y, like, doing everything, especially once things are not going my way. I'm kind of just like, all right, yeah, I can't get myself to do certain things, right? If I don't get certain things from the woman, then I can't invest certain things into the woman. And typically that'll be like romanticism, whatever, going on dates, all this type of stuff. So I've had women complain. I've had women, be like, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, but still be completely loyal, still be completely like into the relationship. They just try harder. You know what I mean? They're upset, but and then I'll be like, well, don't you want to leave? Don't you want to break up then? And they'll be like, no, I don't want to break up. And I'm like, well, it seems like you're saying I'm a terrible guy, so why would you still want to be with me? Because at that point, I'll typically be like, I don't think we should be together. Not like it's easy or whatever. It's not easy to be like that, but it just logically makes sense. Like, okay, well, you're saying I'm not doing this for you, I'm not doing that for you, then all right, well, maybe we should break up. And then they'll just not really want to. Or they will never initiate that, or they'll never, you know what I mean? Like, it'll be like, no, I still want to be with you, but like, can we just work on this? Can we just work on it? And I think it speaks to what he's saying. Like, they still feel something, even if it's annoyed, even if they're angry at you, even if they're like, why aren't you giving this to me? Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? Like, they'd rather stay there and work on that and work through that. But let you be just like you said, and let them be indifferent to you. It's just like, all right, because I've been in that situation. The first girl that I dated, the very, very first girlfriend I had, she was definitely indifferent because I had adored her. Actually, that's the only girl I've been with in a relationship that I adored. I adored her. I remember me and my friends, we saw her on Instagram before I got with her, which is weird because we were just like, damn, she was so good. She this, and then I ended up with her. And it was like a weird experience almost. I was like still young and like nervous around her, even though she was my girl. I was still nervous around her. I was still, all this stuff. So I wasn't making her feel anything. I had no presence in the relationship, and she was indifferent. And I mentioned this before, but that's the one that cheated. That's the one that she went to a different school, and I remember I went up there and it was, we still did our thing, we still slept together, whatever, but I could feel like something was off with the people around me. I was like, something feels weird. Something feels like, I'm like, these people are not as receptive as people usually are to me, And then we broke up at some point. She started like not responding as much, all this stuff. We broke up, and then like a week later, she posted a picture with the guy. And that was the indifference that she felt. She didn't feel happy because it wasn't like I was doing something like amazing for her, and I wasn't really like, I just had no presence in the relationship. So it was that indifference, and that made her want to just move on to somebody else. Like, she got bored, right? It's exactly what he's saying. That's a great point.
have an emotional experience in a relationship, then it's probably better that she be the adorer. Because if she's the adored, if she's up there on that pedestal, well, that might feel good for a while, but it will actually get boring pretty quickly. Being on a pedestal ain't all it's cracked up to be. And a bored woman makes for an unsustainable relationship.
I think that's very, very true. Being on a pedestal is not all it's cracked up to be. It's kind of like, because there's a reason you're not the adorer, right? If you're not the adorer, there's a reason for it. Like I said before, like me, there's always something that I find out, or something that I see that I didn't see maybe in the first week or two, that like comes out, and I'm like, I don't really feel, I'm not feeling you as much, right? So if you're in that position, there's already something a flaw that you see, and that's why you're not accepting of it, and that's why you're not the adorer. So then, being the adorer, so then you have this person who just adores you, and they want you, and they this and that, and you just don't feel the same. And we've been trained to think that we're supposed to both feel the same. We're trained to feel that the dynamic's supposed to be exactly the same. Like, you're both supposed to love each other equally, and then that's what makes a perfect relationship. But that's impossible, like he said in the beginning. So, not impossible, but improbable. So then, if you were, like I said, if you were the adored, you saw something that you didn't like as much, and then you have this person just constantly coming at you, constantly like trying to give you love, constantly. It sounds like, oh, what a problem to have, but it can be suffocating. It can be, annoying. It can be like, all right, this is too much. So it takes some maturity, I think, to deal with that, to be in that position, and it takes some, and I think it's just easier for guys, like I said before, to understand and appreciate that, because we're not constantly being adored by a bunch of women all the time. Whereas the typical good-looking woman is being adored by a whole bunch of men. Typically, even average-looking women are being adored, or could be adored, by a whole bunch of men. If they decide to dress up sexy, or if they decide to, do something sexy, they're gonna get the adoration just like that. It's an easy switch. They can go from getting no attention to just lead with sex, and they'll get attention, adoration, all that. Right? So, like I say, your adoration as the man in the relationship doesn't really carry as much weight as her adoration to you, because that's not our typical experience. You're looking or not. Even if a woman does adore you, she's typically not going to show it like that. She's not going to just put it out there. She'll secretly, admire you or adore you, whatever. So many times, girls that I've been with liked me way before, and they were sending my picture to their friends or whatever it is. Y'all know how girls do, but they're not gonna show you that, so you don't see it. So because you don't see it, it doesn't exist. It's not in your perception. So when you have this girl that is showing it to you openly, you're like, okay, I appreciate this to an extent, right? But it still takes maturity. It still takes maturity to be in that position, to understand, okay, I'm not with the one I love, but I'm loved by the one I'm with, like he said earlier.
Men, this is what you have to understand. Two people in a relationship cannot occupy the same place. And so when a man insists on being the adorer, he kind of robs the woman of the opportunity of being the adorer, which isn't really doing any one of them any favors. And this is because you can't have two adorers, and you can't have two adorers because of the balance of attraction, which maintains that two people cannot like each other exactly the same amount. Insisting on being the adorer forces the woman to be the adored, which robs her of the lion's share of emotionality in the relationship. Make sense? Now, there's another important reason why it's better for women to be adorers, and this reason has to do with hypergamy, which we have now talked about a few times on this channel. Hypergamy is the tendency of women to select up and across, which is why they tend to mate and date men who are older, taller, stronger, wealthier, and higher status, for instance. This means, literally and figuratively, a woman wants to look up to her man. If a man insists on being the adorer, then he's looking up at her, which means that she is looking down at him. And that is definitely not a sustainable relationship. Men, you don't allow a woman to look up to you. You don't even give her the chance if you're looking up at her.
I always say that. This is why I talk about patience. Be patient. Allow her to show that she likes you. Don't just run up and be like, hey, I like you at this, at this, at that. And like sometimes there's a time for it, whatever. If you get the signs, okay, cool, come up, whatever. But it is to your detriment to be in a rush to come up and show her your adoration. Because like I said, there's a million other dudes doing it. So yours is not special. It's not special. You can call her beautiful. She's been called beautiful. You can call her, wow, you have such a great energy. It doesn't matter, right? If she just happens to think you're fine as hell, then yeah, cool. Then it means something more. But if she has a bunch of fine guys telling her that, then it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. You really just gotta wait for her to choose who she wants, and that's what it is about. I said that about beautiful women in my video. How ugly, average, pretty, and beautiful women respond to a handsome man. I said beautiful women will let you know. They will let you know. Because they're going to have the best looking men coming up to them and telling them that they like them. They're going to have some of them coming up directly and being, very forward and showing that adoration. So they know, okay, I could really have anybody. Who do I actually want? Right? But it works the same on all levels. Let the woman choose who she actually wants. Let her show you, oh, I really like you. She's going to. They're not just going to be alone. They're not just going to be, you know what I'm saying? And it's a ticking time bomb if they're with a guy who did apply pressure and put all that effort in and did all this and did all that, right? It's a ticking time bomb. And eventually she's going to just go to the guy she wants to anyways. That's just how it goes. So, you know what I mean? Just allow her to be the adorer. Allow her to show you. Allow her to, it just takes more time. We're so impatient. I talk about it all the time. We're so impatient. Allow it. He's backing up what I'm saying. You're not even allowing her to be the adorer. You're not allowing it because you insist on you think the more you show, the more it's going to make her like you, but it has no effect. You expressing everything that you feel, you laying everything out on the line, I love you, I want to give you this, I want to give you that. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. She has to like you. She has to choose you. And what you do for her doesn't affect her choice, right? Her choice is her choice. It's her perception, is what she sees, is what she likes. You do your thing and you let her choose you. You talk to her, you can have conversations, you could start a conversation, whatever, but you can't lead with like, oh, I want to be with you, but keep it chill. Keep it chill. Keep it very chill. I actually have a story. The other day I was working an event, and there's a girl that I had been talking to the last time I worked at an event, and I was cool with her, whatever. We had a good conversation, but I was more like, like, hey, what's up? Like, oh, what's your Instagram? I remember when I asked her for her Instagram, another dude had asked her for her Instagram. I was like, I can't do this no more. I was like, yeah, this is crazy. We're both asking her for the Instagram at the same time. I'm like, this is, because it was the end of the event. I'm like, yeah, I can't be like this. So the next time I saw her, yesterday, I seen her. I was like, oh, what's up? Cool, talking to her a little bit. And I'm like, all right, well, that's it. Because she's, talked to other guys or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll never compete for a girl. Never compete. So I pull back. Everybody's talking, mingling. I go sit by myself somewhere. I'm on my phone. I'm watching my auditions, going over my stuff, reviewing it, critiquing it. You know what I'm saying? Just in my own world, doing my thing. All of a sudden, guess who comes up and sits right next to me? There's not even a chair. She finds like some wooden thing to sit on, but she comes all the way out of her way, and then I'm like, okay, now I know what's up, because all the other guys are here. You could be going to talk to any of the other guys. I go by myself. I'm taking my time to myself. She didn't immediately run up, but as the course of we were on a 30-minute break, whatever. As the course of that was going through, towards the end of the break, she found her way over. Let it happen. Just let it happen. I knew we had a vibe. I knew we was talking, but if I had kept coming, and trying to apply pressure and trying to like whatever while the other guys are doing it, she's just gonna be like, oh, I'm in the group now. I don't want to be in the group. You don't want to be in the group. Take your time away, and the ones that like you will gravitate towards you. Right? Allow it to happen naturally. Stop being impatient. Allow it to happen. I'm impatient too sometimes, right? Everybody's impatient, but you need to control yourself and allow that to happen. Step away. See what you scared to see if you really got it. See if you really got it. Test yourself out. Test yourself out.
I can hear some wheels turning in some of my male audience's heads right about now. And that's good. It's good that you're thinking about this. And this is what I'd like you to consider, gentlemen. I get that you want to be the adorer. She's gorgeous, and it feels amazing to be with the woman you love. I get it. But here's the thing. If you insist on having that experience, you are robbing her of the opportunity of having that experience because you can't both be adorers, my dude. So what I'd like you to consider is making a voluntary sacrifice to be the adored. I know that sounds weird, but it's a sacrifice to be the adored because almost everyone wants to be the adorer. It's a sacrifice to be the adored, to give the opportunity, to give up the opportunity of being with the one that you love. And you're willing to do that to give the woman that opportunity, which is no small thing because you know how good it can feel. Does that make sense? What do you think? Do you think it's
Exactly. It's like I said, it takes maturity. It takes a level of understanding. Like, okay, long term, what's going to be the most beneficial thing? It's a cost benefit analysis. What is going to be more beneficial? Me being with the one I love for, however long she's going to put up with it, with the boringness, with the not having that feeling, right? Or am I going to step back, take my time, see which girls are feeling me? Okay, cool. Now, out of those girls, you know what I'm saying? Then you get to choose whatever. Then you get to choose, and then you still allow her to adore you. You allow her to do it, and you don't get to feel the feeling of like, oh man, I'm so happy I'm with this girl. You don't get to feel that feeling, but that's not sustainable, like he said. Long term, if she adores you and you're mature enough to handle being in the position of being the adored, then boom, your relationship can flourish. You can be responsible. You know what I'm saying? You avoid temptation, right? And but she still understands. Okay, he could if he wanted to, right? That's a part of it. That's for another video. But you avoid that temptation. You understand that she's adored, and you operate with maturity in that position. Cool. A lot of women don't know how to operate in that position, but it's because they have so many people that would adore them. Right, so it's hard. It's harder for them to be in that position, not only because they prefer to be in the adorer position, and it just naturally is it's their natural instinct, it's their natural tendencies to be the adorer. So when they're in the adored position, they don't get to be in their natural state, and then they also, it's just a hard position to be in when everybody adores you, or it seems like everybody adores you. And it's hard to just be like, okay, well, this person's adoration means a lot. I'm going to stick to this one, right? It's just harder to be in that position for them. It's a more natural position for us to be in because we don't have all the adoration to compete with it. And we don't really need to be like that. That's just not our natural tendencies anyways, right? So I think that was a great video to break down. I think that, guys, girls, see this video, understand, what's your natural tendencies. Right, everybody's not, all men are not one way and all women are not the other way, but I think typically women are better at being adorers and men are better at being adored, right? That's just how I see it. But it takes maturity to be in that adored position, regardless of man or woman. It takes maturity because when you think you're supposed to feel that feeling of, oh, I love her, but you don't, then you're like, am I supposed to be here? But my brother, long term, that is a better position for you to be in. Alright, so that's the video for today. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. Drop some more topics in the comment section. Drop some videos you want me to do some reactions to. I want to do more reaction videos. I have a lot of videos on, my philosophy. 180 something videos on my philosophy. There's not really much more I can say. I kind of gave you guys my philosophy, you know what I mean? I can get more specific. The more specific your questions are, I can get more specific with reaction videos, which is, like I said, what I want to do more of. but just my philosophy is pretty much out there. Y'all understand what it is. Now I'm back in the dating world, so it's gonna grow a little bit. It's gonna change as the dating scene changes, because I can feel the difference in the dating scene now versus a few years ago. I can feel the difference. So I'm learning some new things, seeing some new things. But again, your suggestions will help greatly. And yeah, y'all know what it is. It's Mind Over Matter, Marvel Over Matter. Let's get it.